Welcome to this week's version of Healing Yoga, the first day of autumn, and it's another beautiful day out there. So I invite you to start either standing or seated. I am going to begin standing today for the wake up. And that involves the breath, breathing in through the nose and out the mouth. The reason we do that is to release excess energy when we exhale out. And we also have two meridians that run vertically called central and governing. And the central one starts ends at the bottom of the soft palate, and then the governing stops at the top of the hard palate. So it is a circular movement of these two meridians. If I've lost you, meridians carry energy like veins carry blood, and they are they run to every major organ in our body. So by tracing our meridians, that is actually giving that organ a little bit of more of a charge or an oomph, if you will, keeping it healthy. So anyway, getting back to the breath and why we do the in the nose and out the mouth, we want to keep that microcosm or microcosmic orbit going, meaning that little world circling and cycling together. So notice when you breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth, you could feel the breath kind of floating at the top or the roof of your mouth. Of course, you inhale through the nose, and you feel that going down. So it's that circular pattern. Also exhaling out, we're releasing any excess energy that we don't need, anything that may be stressful or worrisome or creating tension in our bodies. With that, let's start with the breath in the nose, out the mouth. Let's do 3 full rounds as we sink into that breath, whether we're standing or seated. Fingertips, either the pads or the notched 2 fingers and thumb, find your collarbone. Move down about an inch, tap, thump, or massage. The on button for the body gets the energy moving forward. One of the directions energy needs to move in order not to stagnate. We're breathing in the nose and out the mouth. Shaking out the fingertips. Moving to the sternum, thymus, bringing in those killer T cells. I invite you to do this often. You can do it several times a day. It won't hurt you. It can help you. Bring in those T cells to populate the immune system. Shaking out the hands. Side seams beneath the bra line or just right there at the rib cage. Tap, thump, or massage. Metabolizing and digestion. Thoughts, food, experiences. Keep that breath flowing. Shake that out. Tips of fingers to our cheekbones now. Stomach meridian associated with the earth element. Breath in the nose, out the mouth. We're kind of in between that earth element time because that comes in between or right at the equinox and solstices. We're at the equinox. So it's that balancing earth energy coming out of the summer, moving into the autumn. Lots of things happening. Shake that off, pause, and just feel. Integrate those 4 thumbs. Continue with that breath in the nose and out the mouth. And then we'll go into that homolateral or side to side march, 3 to 4 rounds. Dust off to pause the energy and then cross it over. You can weave and make figure 8s as you do this. Weaving those figure 8s helps bind the energy together to help seal in and cleanse your own energetic field. Continue with that breath. We did about 10 to 12 rounds, and I typically lose count while I'm doing this, so I just kind of estimate. And that probably is about there. Shake off the hands, hover over the pubic bone, set your intention, say an affirmation as you zip that up the front line. That's the central line. Sweep it out into your field. This helps seal in your energy, keeping out any negative energies from entering your field. And it's a good thing for setting intentions, or if you're going into a place or a meeting or with lots of people, you can seal in your own energy. And lastly, let's take our middle finger belly button in between the brows for our hookup, setting the energetic spine, cleansing our own aura. Shake that off. Let's weave. Weave the arms overhead, soften knees. Now you can stand, and if you feel like sitting, that is absolutely an option. Weave up and down the front, then turn to one side, weave. Think of this as cleaning your own personal space. Good time to do that, the autumn. And come down the other side. Weave. Weave. One more time, forward. Let's take a forward fold here. You can do this from your chair as well. Inhale up to half lift. And then sink in. We're still doing that breath in the nose, out the mouth. Not the head. Let it shake side to side. Slowly weave your way up. And bring the hands to heart center. Standing in your mountain pose. Now we'll do the schoolyard hookup, or also what's called the Wayne Cook posture. It's similar to the eagle pose, but it's a little more user-friendly. So we take the backs of our hands, bring them together, and cross one over. Just take note of what hand you crossed first, and then tuck that under. And if that's just too much to do, you can just cross the wrists and kind of place the hands together. Cross one leg over, does not matter. We'll take 3 deep breaths. In the nose, out the mouth, or the nose. And think of this as unscrambling your energy, finding your words. Notice the crossover pattern. Unwind the hands and then switch the cross. And again, tuck under. If that is a little bit cumbersome, again, just take like wings and then bring the palms together. want to switch, I almost forgot, cross the other ankle over. Now, if you forget to do that, that's okay. Your intention is the strongest thing. What is your intention in everything you do? If you just be mindful of that, you're going to do well. Let's unwind, step out into our star pose, reach the arms out, active energy there, as well as in the legs. Let's extend to one side. Again, you can do this seated. If that's too much to lift the arm up, go ahead and bend the elbow, place the hand on the shoulder, whatever modifications work for you. Remember, we don't have to do the full expression of any posture. Coming back to center. Taking that to the other side, another lateral stretch. Breathe. Coming back to center. Now let's draw that belly button in and up. Think about that zip up. Core engagement. Open the arms. Heaven rushing in. Gentle back bend. Lifting through the heart center. Breathing deeply. And then weaving the arms in and giving yourselves a well-deserved hug. Maybe walking the fingertips back toward the shoulder blades if that is available. Otherwise, just give yourself that big hug. We don't do that often enough. Maybe cradle right here. If you can reach the backs of your scapula, your shoulder blades, you can kind of dig in there, give that a little massage. But if not, that's okay too. Again, your intention. Breathe. Release the arms and let's weave and come into a forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, sink in, nod the head. Shake it side to side. First, weave the arms up. Do that slowly 2 more times. Remember to come up very slowly once we're over in that forward fold to avoid dizziness. Many times medications we're taking or just lightheadedness. If we have low blood pressure, you're going to probably get a little head rush if you come up too quickly. Take a moment. Weaving the arms, breathing, maybe pausing halfway up. And then coming the rest of the way. Weave the arms up. Breathing all the while. One last time. And then we come to stand in mountain pose. Breathe here. I've brought a chair out and I'm going to demonstrate on the chair today. I'm going to do some lunges. Those of you that a lunge is available to you, go ahead and you can go into your low lunge, drop that knee down or keep that knee lifted. Otherwise, from our mountain pose or from our seated pose here, we'll just take one leg back into this lunge and tuck the toes so you have that outside leg hanging off here. So we're lunging here. We draw the arms overhead, reach toward the heavenlies, bend the elbows, knit the ribs in instead of letting them pop out, kind of knitting them in as we take that gentle back bend. Crescent lunge here, breath flowing. Create that arrow. And slowly open here. If you are down on the floor, you're going to put one hand down. Otherwise, from here on the chair, we're going to place one hand on the seat of the chair and the other reaches up. So we circle this wrist. Now, if you're on the mat, your knee is either down or lifted, whichever you prefer. Let's take that circle the opposite direction. Flick through each finger. That removes excess energy. Flick through the whole hand and stimulates meridians that begin or end on the fingertips. We weave that down and then bring the hands down to our sides. Slowly open the top. Now on the floor or on the mat, you're just going to bring that first knee in to all fours and go into cat-cow. From this chair, I'm going to sit and do a couple rounds of cat-cow to reset. Breathe and move. And if sitting in the chair, we're simply going to turn around. And on the mat, you're just simply going to extend the opposite leg back, whether the knee is down or lifted. So here we're in our lunge to the other side. And we'll inhale, drawing the arms up. Again, thinking about knitting the ribs in. And when I say that, it's about not popping the ribs out. I used to do that all the time. I really had to train myself not to. So we want to draw that in, up, let the hands drop behind, come into that crescent lunge. Gentle back bend. Breathe deeply. And then release that arrow forward. Breathe. Slowly open back. Take this hand, edge of the chair, top arm up. Same thing with that mat version, excuse me. Maybe I went this way. Either way. Let's circle the wrist. Other direction. Flick each finger, thumb, whole hand, and weave. Hands down. And then slowly bring that leg forward. Once again, seated cat and cow. Reset. Or from the floor, kneeling cat and cow. Now I'll demonstrate triangle from here. So with that rear foot back, front leg forward, we have some support from this chair. For that wide triangle, little soft knee in the front. Or, of course, we can be on the mat and do the triangle as well. Just want to show this modified version here. So here we are, extending our arms out. Maybe our hands are at our shoulders. Maybe they're at our hips. Well, challenge yourself and see if you can hold those arms up, activate the energy, and breathe into those places that are calling your name, saying, ah. Deep breath, a little work in the arms. Let's come down, forward, this top arm, and you can rest the fingertips on the shoulder, the hand on the hip, or reach it upward. Opening up and breathing. Feel that lengthening through the side waist. Breathe. If we're on the mat and you want to take this a little further into a revolve triangle, bring that down to a block or to the floor, that inside hand. From this chair, place the hand here. This other hand reaches up into a little revolved movement. Breathing here. Twisting, wringing out those organs, creating space for a fresh new blood supply to come in. And then release down, and then just merely sit down and switch sides. If on the floor, just going to step back in your mountain pose, take a deep breath, and then switch legs, go to the other side. So your triangle might even look a little bit more like this, almost like a warrior two. That's okay. But if it's available, stand up, soften through that front leg just a little bit. If you can lengthen it out without locking it out, that's great too. Arms out, breathe, about 2 deep breaths here. Bringing that hand down. Same options, maybe lifting up here, hand to the hip, or reaching skyward. Slowly drawing that top arm down or the inside. You're going to shift a little bit to bring this rear hip a little bit forward to revolve the triangle. Same thing if you are standing on the mat. Bring this hand down to a block or to the floor, or not even that far, but it's quite a challenging balance and strength move otherwise. Twisting and reaching up, option. You can keep that hand down at the hip if you like. Breathe. Again, think about twists as helping to wring out the old, creating space for the new. And then releasing down and coming back center. And I'm going to set this chair off to the side, off the mat anyway, as we go into our tree pose. So our tree pose involves, we can use the toe as a kickstand, we can use this chair or a wall or anything you have handy. Just sometimes having something near is enough to help you with your balance. And balance changes all the time from moment to moment. Just make sure you don't have your foot or heel on the knee joint. So it's above or below, or again, you can use that toe as a kickstand. You might even bring the foot up here and lift it up a little bit, depending on what's available today. This is one of my favorites, is crossing it over. Your knee can come down on or hover on the chair, above the chair, and this helps to balance. Hands can be at heart center or out, extending your branches. Breathe. I encourage you to challenge yourselves to balance for 30 seconds each side daily. It's a good practice. It is beneficial for as we age, for avoiding falls, a huge thing for all of us. About 3 more deep breaths. You should be feeling that in your foundational leg. Take a deep breath. And from here, let's sweep the arms up. Exhale deeply, ha, through the mouth. Forward fold, ha. Rid ourselves of any judgment for our balance poses. Weave the arms up. Once again, ha. Weave it up, and let's go to the other side. Lots of different options for our arms. Let's draw that knee up. Again, my knee is just hovering above here, but I can kind of tap it down, checking in, growing strong, belly button in and up, and reaching the arms out. Breathe. Focus on your breath. One more deep breath. And draw that down to heart center. Shake it out, kick it out. And let's come into some squats. They can be high, low, or middle. Do not fear. Squats are very good for us. They're great for our digestion, our constitution. Again, for our balance, for our overall strength, and being able to get up from a seated position. So we can do this on the chair. Come down, maybe hover, and then come back to stand. Again, come down, hover, and back to stand. So this is kind of like a chair high squat. You can come back down a little bit. You might even hinge forward. Distribute that weight. You can do this on the mat if you're feeling confident in your balance or with your knees. Lots of things to consider here. Let's start slowly coming down and then drawing back up. I'm going to go through the 5-element flow. The 5 elements in Chinese medicine: water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Today, the autumnal equinox is the beginning, of course, of autumn. The element of metal. The breath is and the challenging emotion is grief. The balancing emotion is letting go. Think about the trees starting to change color. The leaves are falling. We know what's coming. Winter. I know. So it's a grievous time. It's kind of sad. So we're working through the grief of the season to letting go, because we know it will begin again in the rebirth of winter. Winter, the season of water, the element. Everything starts in water. And with that, we'll just start with our 5-element flow. And the first pose, or the peak pose, for the element of water, season of winter, is blowing out the candle. The sound is emotions, challenging fear, and the balancing is courage. Having the courage to move through the fear of the darkness of winter, to trust that we'll begin again in spring. So we'll start here, and I'll just give you little tidbits along the way. So if a squat pose is in your practice, you can come down here and begin in squat, or just take the chair, wrap one arm, inhale up, breathe, blowing out the candle. Inhale, exhale, blow out the candle. Be in the dark, having the courage to move through the fear of darkness. Shake that out. Next posture, spring, element of wood. Challenging emotion, anger. Balancing emotion, assertiveness. The peak pose, expelling the venom. Sound is shh. So imagine you're digging up all these weeds in your garden, pulling them up. You draw them up and you expel. Shh. You're releasing that anger, releasing all that. Anything that is no longer serving us, those weeds in the garden, draw them up. Shh. Expel. Expel the venom. Again, inhale. Shh. Release. Flick it off. One more time. 4th time. Very intently, slowly. Get that taproot, pull it up. Release. While we're over here, either weave your way up or trace your spleen meridian. Inside big toe, inside seams. Come a little wider at the torso, along the breasts, almost to shoulders. Back down and buzz those spleen points. We're standing tall, ready for our summer peak pose of bringing down the flame, which we are doing at this time too, this immersion of seasons. It's the element of fire. Inspiration and joy are the balancing emotions. Anxiety is the challenging emotion. We stand tall, inhale, tent the fingers together, HA, as we come down, tap the crown. Sweep around to between the brows. Again, sweep around to heart center. Sweep around again, thumbs just above the navel. Flattened hands right over the belly. Sweep hands down the outsides, off the pinky toes, shake it off. Once again, trace spleen meridian as you come up. Now, if Ujjayi breath is in your practice, you could go into that now, that in the nose and out the nose. The exhale with the lips sealed is like you're fogging a mirror, but the lips are sealed. So this is the earth element, a time we're kind of weaving into, as it's weaving us into the season of autumn. So taking that Ujjayi breath and holding our spleen points here, moving in to cradle the baby, the peak pose for the earth element. The self-care, challenging emotion, worry. Balancing emotion, self-love, self-care, knowing that we need to take care of ourselves in order to take care of others. So as we cradle ourselves, breathe, Ujjayi breath, or that in the nose, out the mouth. Reach up to the heavenlies, drawing down what we need. Bring the fingertips together, thumbs to between the brows. Trace over the brows, comb the fingers, cross the forehead, smooth behind the ears, and sweep the hands down the front of the body, off the sides of the legs and off pinky toes. And then either from standing or seated, hands beneath the balls of the feet, if that's available. If not, again, intend. Intention is everything. So if we're standing, bend the knees a lot. So the hands are at the insides, and we're letting the bum come down and lift with the breath 3 times. And then once again, tracing spleen meridian as we come up. Back down, buzz those points, shake it off. Bringing us to autumn and the season of metal. And again, as we talked about, grief is the challenging emotion to letting go. Is the sound. And we come into these standing back bends. We open the arms, taking in all that we love. And as we make this sound, we bring the fingertips to an incomplete circle. Again, about shoulder level. All that we love and care about. Incomplete circle. Last time, overhead. Taking all that we love and care about, knowing we can't handle it all. Leaving it to God or whomever you perceive. And crossing over here with the hands. Resting over heart center with our hands here. You're covering some lung points, which is one of the organs represented by the season of autumn. The other is the large intestine. That's all I'm going to say right now. Overload. Shake down. Shake it off. Now we're going to make our way down to the floor. And we can do that either by downward facing dog. Weave our way to forward fold. We may want to just come down and step back to downward facing dog, or make your way to the floor, however it works best for you. Once we are on our hands and knees, let's move through some rounds of cat, cow. Work out any kicks in through the body. Maybe take those side to little crescent stretches and continue to breathe. Focus on your breathing first and foremost, and that's going to be your best guide. So make it so you could hear yourself breathe, so you know you're taking those nice deep inhales and full exhalations of all that excess energy and air. Let's take the knees a little bit wider. Come back. Again, we're going to do this palming, calming, releasing tension. Now you don't have to come all the way back here, so we can have the knees bent. Rub the palms. Walk the elbows out to where you're supported, covering the eyes, holding your head in the palms, and breathing 5 to 7 deep breaths. If this pose is not for you, find child's pose or any other comfortable pose. When you feel complete, relax down in child's pose for a breath or two. And also be on the chair here with the arms on the seat of the chair. Slowly make your way up. Let's move around, bringing the legs forward. As we come onto our back sides. As we're lying back here, let's move into some pelvic tilts, or what I call baby cat cows. So the pelvis tilts forward or backward. As we press that low back into the mat, coming into that forward tilt, and then our backward tilt, then forward. As we lift in the back, the small of our back lifts, but that tailbone stays put on the mat. So this should feel good for your low back. Just moving with the breath. You can rest your hands on the belly. And then shift your hips slightly, a couple inches to the left. Extend the right leg and fold the left knee in. Pull behind the thigh. Maybe draw that across the body. If it's available, reach that right set of fingers behind that knee crease and draw that across. Gallbladder points, achievers of the impossible. Now you can take your gaze over the opposite arm and take about 5 deep breaths here. Slowly unwind and bend both knees. Shift back to neutral and then a couple inches to the other side, extending left leg. Bring that right knee in. Opposite hand behind the knee if available. Otherwise, just draw that across. You can gently coax it over or place the fingers behind the knee crease. Extend that opposite arm out. Option to gaze out over that arm. Breathing. You can use any of those breath sounds with your exhale. If you're feeling anxiety, release it with that HA. If you're feeling anger, grief, fear, or that ujjayi breath for worry, in the nose, out the nose. And if that's not available, always you can go to that in the nose and out the mouth. That's a great breath pattern. Come back to center. Draw the knees into the chest. Give yourselves that well-deserved hug. Gratitude for making it to your mats today. Inhale deeply. Exhale, lift. Blow out the fear. Release the head down. Place the feet down. Take them about mat width apart. Arms either along the sides or out wide to a T. Windshield wipers. Let the knees drop to one side as the gaze comes opposite. Other side. Back to center. And last time here. Come back to center. Let's take our fingers in between the breasts. And I invite you to stay lying down. Just take the fingers in between the breasts at the sternum and work those points in between. They may be a little sore, and if so, rub them some more unless you have any underlying issues that you're aware of. But this is merely moving the lymph, and it's detoxing that connection with the organs. So these are lung points connected to our lungs. If they're a little bit sore, we're just kind of moving that out into the venous supply so it can be eliminated and detoxed from the body. So working those points is going to help. And then we'll flick our fingers and thumb. And then the inside and outside of the legs, large intestine, neurolymphatic runs along the outside of the leg. And then we have the small intestine on the inside. So from this lying position, if you have a tendency toward constipation, start at the leg pit, and just this flat part of the fists can bring this. If it's constipation, start at the leg pit, move down to just above the knee. If you have loose stools or tendency toward that, start just above the knee and work your way up to the leg pit. And if you have no problems with your constitution at all, it doesn't matter which way you go. But let's do 4 to 5 passes each way and press with some pressure. Use some pressure. It doesn't necessarily feel that good, but it is detoxing and it's effective. It does work. If you are constipated, you can try this. It should work. It is working to clear that channel to that organ. So 4 to 5 passes each side. Large intestine, small intestine, neurolymphatic on the inside. are the little channels or connections to that organ. And shake it off, flick it off. Again, when I say you need to add some pressure, if you didn't feel anything, then it probably won't be very effective. You can also use your notched fingers and thumb. That's just even a little bit more intense, but certainly try it if you're having an issue. Shake that off. Breathe it out. And for our Shavasana final relaxation today, maybe a blanket, a towel, a block, a ball, anything that you have to maybe place beneath the bum to give you a little bit of lift here. And you can step the feet just outside of your mat. Let the knees fall inward toward gravity. Just resting the hands either on the belly or opening the palms upward. Maybe the backs of the hands hover, but the palms are open, ready to receive any healing energy you've asked for. Remember your intention. And then you can lift the knees up to that point where it is. If you're on the block, you'll notice this more. You find that place of little to no resistance. And then you can extend the legs up. So you can take your Shavasana legs up the wall from just this supported point. You have this blanket out just a little way. It's kind of wedging us up a little bit, and so it's supporting us. If we have our legs raised for about 3 minutes, that's about the time it takes for all the blood to flow through and circulate through the heart and back. So that's a good timing. I invite you to be here or in whatever Shavasana position you choose, and I will stop talking. beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes, bringing your awareness back to your breath, fluttering your eyes as you roll to one side, joining me in seated as you're ready. As we're seated here, bringing our hands to heart center, take a deep inhalation, let it out. Again, inhale, let it out. Inhale, let it out. Inhale, let it out. Last one, inhale, let it out, nose. Thank you all for joining me for this practice today. Namaste.